start recording. Alright. I think this should work. So, hello everyone, this is Erling from Articulus. These are strange times. The lockdown hit our little band quite hard, and well, we had made arrangements for a very special exhibition and acoustic concert with acoustic arrangements of our songs with our good friend Thomas Breivik on drums. We've been working quite intensely with that over many months, and it was a real bummer to have it happen. Since we also are based in different parts of the country, we're not able to rehearse in any meaningful matter. So here we are. We spent the time trying to figure out some new ideas and just trying to maintain the momentum we gained from our debut album that we released in November this year. So we still have lots of vinyl, CDs, cassettes, t-shirts in stock. So if you're interested in that, just go to our Bandcamp, which will be linked somewhere around me now, to check out what we have there. So what I thought I'd do today is take a look at one of our songs, one of the biggest songs on the album, and just try and have a look at the mix and the tracks, and see if any of you maybe think that could be fun, interesting, informative, I don't know. We recorded and mixed this album ourselves with our good friend Dirk Verbeuren, tracking drums also by himself in his studio in Los Angeles, in Die Crawling Studios. Check him out, he's an amazing guy, amazing drummer. So I thought I'd just start at the beginning of this and just go track by track and show you what actually is happening in this track. So I thought I'd choose The Last, which is a really old track. We started writing the riffs for that in like 2005, 2006, I believe. And it's been rearranged a couple of times, and my buddy Chris, he finished this, took a hold of it and transformed it into what it is today, I think around 2013, before we sent everything to Dirk. So I have some delicious Norwegian microbrew here. I'm going to crack that open, and let's get cracking. So The Last is about Queen Cleopatra, the last pharaoh. We have had some amazing artwork created for it by our great friend and collaborator Francisco. Now I don't have that exact drawing right here. Maybe I'll show it to you later. The song starts with some ambient cinematic synths actually, and some strings. So as you see here, I have the Orchestra Plus group, which is comprised of the subgroups Orchestra and synth effects keys. So the whole thing starts out with these synths, and then the strings join in. We also have a small chamber section here, which we will look closer at a little later. Let's see. I'm recording. Okay. So let's see what we have here. Cheers. As you can hear here also, it's not only synths and orchestra. There's also some tasteful slide guitars performed by my buddy Chris, and they sound like this. Pretty nasty, grimy, gnarly. I love them. So many elements in the mix have been debated to and fro about what level should they be at. I thought these needed to be really loud. Chris didn't want them so loud, I think, but I think they ended up with a great balance, in my humble opinion. So we'll get back to the guitars in a bit, I think. The natural order would probably be to start with the drums, but since this song is so heavily orchestrated with synths and orchestral samples, I thought it would be a good idea to start with that. So we'll get back to that. All right. So first we have only the synth group here, which actually sounds pretty large. It's comprised of, I shouldn't speak while I'm playing back. So it starts with this Ahoy synth. That builds tension. All these orchestrations are, of course, done by Chris, but I can still show them to you. More tension building, and then this little thing kicks in together with this track. Little drop out there. I think maybe I'm running my setup a little rough right now. Let's see here. Yes, that could stand a little more leeway. Let's see here. That should be okay. I set this for tracking for a little while ago. We're working on something very exciting in the Articulus camp. Let's see now. Yes. At the same time, you have these amazing lush strings. And also, one of the coolest elements of this, in my opinion, is this duduk. Oh, that is so great, I think. And you know what? We actually didn't use these strings. No, we used a different section. Sound like this. So that's a heavily affected solo legato violin, as you can see here. I put distortion, some reverb, tube amp, and some EQ and compression, I think. Here, yes. So here you can see this was something that was done in the last stages before we sent this to mastering. We weren't quite certain about some elements, and we ended up switching some things at the last moment, and I think that keeps things alive, that keeps things interesting. So there you go. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Okay, so what you got here, all the green tracks are strings and orchestra. And then you had this little guy came in at the last moment. This is called glissando, absolutely last bounce. So we have been nitpicking this album for quite some time. Oh. These are really great. I love them. They remind me of a horror movie, maybe. As you can see, there are some unused tracks here that have been muted. We didn't need them at the last minute. Okay, so now we can maybe start to break down the mix in more of a regular fashion. So the drums were recorded by Dirk in his home studio. So here we are, and they are recorded on the drums. These are he's a tune track signature artist, as most of you probably know. He has a lot of signature beat packs from Tune Track, the library of the Extreme, among others. And so he's endorsed by them, and this is I'm not actually sure what samples he's used here. He played everything in his studio, and he sent us the audio files. So this trigger that you see here is the MIDI you see here is just something I added on top of his performance. So everything you see here is his drum performance, start finish, directly from him. So in mixing, we've done some editing in the way of the dynamics. So we've brought out a few tracks just because we didn't need them, and also volume automated some things, because sometimes clip gain sounds a lot better than compression or any other kind of dynamics plugin. So, but it's, yeah, I think it's like the New York Studios something pack he's been using. It sounds great, in my opinion. And when you have an electronic kit with these great samples played by such a great drummer with such a lot of feel, and just such a professional drummer that's really at one with this instrument, I really almost don't miss real drums. Of course, that would have been even cooler, but I really think this turned out excellent. So let's see what we have here. So the kick is comprised by 2 mics. It's the inside and the outside. Well, it's the close and the external close. I'm not sure, but so that's the main tone you hear, and then you have the sub here. I have, of course, done some things with it. So the main kick sound has been compressed with the Waves API, and has a little bit of EQ. No, sorry, that's so it has some EQ here, just away with the muddiness here at around 240. Quite extreme, and then a huge boost in the top here. But with so much happening in this mix, I had to also add this little sample to make sure. Let's see, let's actually just say to help the performance cut through, because the files he sent me was as sent us was as a real performance, just a real solid performance from real drums. And usually in metal you have to do some tricks to make things cut through. And this particular mix, we have exactly 175 tracks, so I had to add a little bit there. Everything else so then you have the snare, which are 3 mics. As you see here, the snare top and the snare bottom have no processing on the individual tracks here, but the snare effects close mic here has a little bit of EQ, because this has been used just to, you see, I have a tube amp here to just give some distortion and oomph and drive it. And then these 3 snares have been sent to the snare bus, and I have my group tracks here. So this is where I've been doing most of the actual mixing after getting the tones right on the individual tracks, getting the balances, and then processing things on the group. So if we listen to the snare, it sounds like this. So that's the API, Waves API 2500 compressor. I used some envelope shaper, just bring out some more sustain and a little bit more attack. And I used the Q1 stereo to just add a lot of low-end thump of body here, around 131, yes, to just really give it that push in the mix. And some more EQing here. I got rid of something I guess I thought was really ugly at 752. Small boost at around 80, and gentle slope on the high end. So that's the snare. And then there's a little bit of plate reverb. We're using the Abbey Road, the Waves Abbey Road plates, which sounds amazing in my opinion. So those are the drums. So I have my kick bass. I think sounds great. And then the snare. And he's not playing it there. The toms have their own, which we can hear here. Toms have been just routed together to the tom group and processed there all together, no individual processing. Some CLA 1176 emulation. It's great. And some EQ here, just cleaned up some pokey frequencies there, and a little bit of reverb. I'm using a different reverb for the toms. Just my favorite reverb of all time. The Cubase stock Roomworks Los Angeles 2019 is something about it. I just really love that reverb, so it's my go-to and use it on everything and anything. And then we have this metalwork here, which consists of the hats and multiple overhead mics. I have some EQ on a couple of these, but overall not a lot. So I try to approach this as mixing as you would a stereo pair of overhead microphones more than anything else. So these are all routed to the metalwork group, and then we have some processing here. The H-comp I think is very nice. I've been cleaning up some harsh frequencies, both low and high. And just a general cut here. This is quite common, and even more cleaning up of hissy, ugly frequencies. So those are the drums. Yeah. I hope you are all doing well. So, having such a great drummer as Dirk, most of this is just getting rid of frequencies and stuff that's clouding the sound and trying to give it just separation and focus and bring it out. I don't think I've done too much. Well, that's maybe open for debate, but I have the drum bus here with a little bit of the SSL comp working its magic here, just barely kissing the needle there, and a little bit of high-end lift to just bring it out. And so you can see that there's a MIDI track here, which is to just help the high-end consistency, because sometimes the samples, I mean, he plays the drums as he would a regular drum set, and sometimes the samples aren't necessarily optimized for that kind of playing. So to get the natural consistent attack, I'm using a small kick sample here just for that high-end cathode. It's not very loud in the mix either, as you can hear. All right, you hanging on? Cheers. All right. So next is, I guess, it would be natural to speak of the guitars while I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. No, let's just do it the old-fashioned way and look at the bass. So we did the bass. We had lots of plans about how we wanted to do the bass. I wondered if we could get some super talented celebrity to play it, and well, time is running out, so we decided to just play it ourselves. And we actually played the whole album over just a couple of days in Chris's home studio, using his German-made Warwick 4-string and my Chinese-made Warwick rock bass, made in China. Yeah, I said that. 5-string for the low end. So that's the bass that's on this track, actually, because there is some baritone stuff on this song, which we will get back to. All right. So the bass has been processed in a way that I guess is fairly common these days. I've split it. So this first track, let's see what we have here. Okay, so this is the bass tone, the complete bass tone. So this is, you can see how I've EQ'd it, processed with a guitar amp and compressor to just bring out that gnarly attack bite. It's not very high in the mix, but and then you have this, which is more of the mid growl, as you can see here. Just filtered out all the stuff I don't need using the BOD. It's a very good free plugin that I really like on most of my bass tones, to be honest. And then I've run it through the Voxengo tube amp, which is also a very good free plugin, and then compressed it again with the CLA. And then we have here the sub, which is yeah, Amplitude 4 orange AD200 official emulation with the recabinet impulse response loader and also library. It's a combination of well, at least this is supposed to be an Ampeg. What this is, I'm actually not sure. I'm not a bass amp connoisseur. I hope I'm not ruining this with speaking over it. Alright, I'll cut it out if it's if it doesn't work. So yeah, how are we? 29 minutes. Are you holding on? Good. So 3 tracks, different frequency spectrums. This is the sub bass, has the orange bass amp with an Ampeg cab with 121, Royer 121, and this cab, which I'm not quite sure what is. I guess that's supposed to be a heart key with the silver cone. I'm not sure. And a 57 on. I'm no bass expert. Yeah, so limited to not that hard, but getting rid of some dynamics to have that nice consistent low end, and EQ'd to shit to just have that smooth rumbling low end. All right, and together I think I have actually a bass group track here also. Yeah, a little bit of EQing. I think this is something I did after consulting with our fantastic mastering engineer Georg Tanderø. That gave me a tip to just kind of gently get rid of some amplitude here at 82. Or maybe I've done that to actually make the kick drum kick. That's the oldest trick in the book, I guess. Is that what I've done? No, I don't think so. But I do think that the kick drum actually is cutting somewhere around there, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. So this is the kick sub. Oh, wait a minute. It's not even. Yeah, that's the sub. And yeah, so that's cutting squarely. Let's see here. Yeah, it has its focus at around 80, and I've cut a little bit out of the bass just to make room for that. So there's many ways to tackle this. I know some people like to use sidechain compression. I have opted out of that here because I have seen some guys just make do with just separating your bass frequencies. Make sure that nothing is on top of each other, just at the side of each other, and that will save you a lot of hassle later. I've also used sidechain compression and tried it here on the album, but I don't think I ended up using it, which for me is fine. I like this. All right, so there's also some programmed sub bass here for this. So this is the that's the sub destroyer. Yep. The JST sub destroyer. It's good. I like it. This is the new segment here that wasn't actually in the song when we sent the songs to Dirk. So we scrambled to arrange it later on, so we just sliced up his performance. That's the one edit we've done to his drums, and to move it. I mean, so there was some kind of I think there was a guitar riff that we didn't quite gel with. We couldn't get be friends with it, so we made an acoustic. We wrote an acoustic section here with also this chamber section that you saw earlier. So this is the strings, and here we have the orchestra with this folder here, the chamber strings, and they sound like this. I like them, but they do not exist in a vacuum. There are also these amazing mellotron flutes here with this simple clean guitar. Are we using both of these? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm blending them. And then the sub bass. Yeah. And with also my vocals slightly distorted here. Yeah, there they are. Opeth porcupine tree style, I guess. Yeah. All right, and then you have that section that again cuts into this huge riff, and when we get there, everything is on. So I guess it's a good time to speak about the guitars. We are indeed, and of course, a guitar band. So this is the opening riff. So the main tones on this song is my 2004 Jackson SL2H USA Select, boosted with an Ibanez Tube Screamer TS808 into this, you can't see it, a Laney Ironheart IRT Studio 15-watt recording amplifier, and with the recabinet impulse loader loaded with these JTW impulse responses, which are Mesa Boogie oversized 4x12 with a 421 Sennheiser 421 impulse on axis, off axis, giving the so-called Fredman technique. So that's the main rhythm sound. And then we have also on the heavier parts of the song, we have used, actually this was Chris's Ibanez 8-string guitar. You should ask him about that. Loaded with EMG 808s, I think. This is the same amp, same boost, and but a different setting on the cabs. So that's the Ogre. I think that's supposed to be an a Bogner, and the XL I think is supposed to be an Engel. I'm not sure. I've just tweaked what tools I've had at my disposal here, and just looped through it to find the stuff that I like the best. You can just go through it like this. It's great. To give a little different tone. That sounds really gnarly, I think. It's not very loud in the mix, so the 6-string is dominating the... the guitar tone, but I really like those. I think they add something. Anyway, in their way. So that's the main guitar tone. And then we have the clean guitars here. Which I think here the guitar used was Chris's very cool Ibanez hollow body. I can't remember the model name. It was a big jazz type guitar. So then you have the Jackson and you have the Ibanez baritone, 27-inch baritone 8-string. Yeah, those are the guitars, the rhythm guitars. And then we have some. You have the clean guitars here, clean chug. I think is, yeah, just giving a hint for the build-up and the quiet section there. Almost can't hear it because there is so much happening in the orchestra. You almost can't hear it because there's so much happening in the orchestra, and that's kind of also how we've been working with trying to write something that is intricate, but everything is pulling in the same direction. So there are pieces here and there that you don't necessarily hear, but you sense them in a way. Yeah, anyway, not too much happening right there. Let's see. Yes, so of course you have the chamber orchestra right there, which we have here. It looks like this. Let's see. Are we recording here still? Very good. And the cello here that gives this grand crescendo. All right. So there are also, well, this says hollow body, but I think this was also that same hollow body, but I'm not sure. All right. Let's just give some nice crunchy chords to the chorus here that has a total of 6 rhythm guitars on top. So you have a Jackson, nice and tight, and then you add the baritone in, and you have so it adds some melodic feel to the chugging. And also forgot to mention this little nylon guitar that is just quietly mixed to the side. I love that. Yeah, and then there's a new quiet section here where we have a lot of guitars. So we're playing the Jacksons. I mean, what's wrong? those nice guitars with also some layers of orchestration. I really love those 12-string guitars that are happening here. So stacked on top of each other here, quite a lot of guitars. And as you see, I've done some no, I don't think, yes, I have here done some clip gain to as an alternative to automation, to just bring the guitars, the dirty guitars, a little bit down, so there's room. So there's room for all these clean acoustic guitars happening there. Also very nice groove from Mr. Verbeuren here. Yeah. And ducking in here is also some lead guitars. Here we have that, and that is actually Chris's amazing, very cool Laney GH50L that I think he got when he was like 16 years old. Sounds truly incredible. And a very nice lead line, I think, as well. And so, what do we have now? And also French horns. These really carry the song, in my opinion. It's the main riff in many ways, more than the chugging guitars. This is the theme of the song. Let's see. Let's start them at the right. I love those. And that's the chorus, actually. So. Yeah. Oh. And this is a song that we have some grim vocals, some extreme vocals. As some of you may know, both me and Chris used to play together in a black metal band, and that was what we did for many years. So they're just here to give some kind of edge. You can't really hear them too loudly, but I think they add a lot. Just to set off the chorus, and then Yeah, let's get to them. So the lead vocals. The vocals were tracked with this very microphone, Shure SM7B. Very good all-around microphone that works nicely with my voice. At least that's my opinion. Through my Focusrite ISA 1 that I'm also recording with right now. The Focusrite or the Neve designed Focusrite preamp from the ISA consoles. It sounds amazing. Well, here we have some processing. We have a CLA 76 compressor and also the SSL channel, which I particularly am fond of for vocals. The compressor sounds really great. I run it quite aggressively, and I think it really brings out the best in my voice. Well, this being quite a warm microphone, you need to boost the highs quite a bit, but when you do that, I find that it sits very nicely in the mix. And then there's also some de-esser here necessarily that you have to do when you boost the highs that much. A little bit of EQ there, but I do think we have some processing going on here also. Yeah, some more compression actually, and some delay and reverb. The effects are, yeah, the same here. So we have the orchestra reverb here. You have the delay, that's it's the same delay for the whole project. The reverb that I showed you, the Cubase reverb, and then the plate that I think is only used for the snare. So on the vocals have here been double tracked for that slick, glossy feeling. Well, not everything, because you have the at the beginning you have the distortion vocals here, which are tracked only once. Filtered, quite heavily processed here. I've been just slamming anything on here to just in a stream of consciousness trying to reach that sound I was after, and I just okay, this is good, let's leave it. So that is quite heavily processed, but the lead vocals are not that processed. Well, a little bit, yeah. So that's the pre-prod that we used as a double. Okay, here we are. So the pre-prod is a different performance. It is from the pre-production, and so we kept it. Instead of me double tracking it, I just used the pre-prod because it was so meticulously tracked when we were just figuring out what we were going to sing, how the vocals would sound. We went many rounds getting it just right, and so the pre-prod tracks ended up sounding pretty good. So they have been quite heavily processed to just reinforce the lead vocals, and the lead vocals here have been split in two. So you have the main vocals, a memory lingers only of those who are pressed, with some compressor, some EQ, a little bit of de-essing, a little bit of just cleaning up of honky frequencies there. I have a lot of honky frequencies in my voice. And then on this track we have some distortion compression. Yeah. Using distortion in busy mixes might sound counterintuitive, but my counterproductive, but my definitive opinion, well, my experience is that it helps the vocals really cut through. And here I've added something more. I can see also, yeah. Yeah, so that's the lead vocals just with doubler here to give it some width. And then you have the call and answering vocals, the distortion vocals here, with just a guitar amp, the Waves guitar, just mangling it with this overdrive setting, Marshall type, which I really like. And then you have the layered backing vocals here, which sounds like this. Enchanting millennia to come, an unbroken rain fueled by the vein, and though they will tremble with their disdain. So, not necessarily very nice to listen to as they are, but when you get everything on top of each other, I think it sounds quite good. And then you have these knirk, which is a Norwegian pronounced knirk in Norwegian, which is me just speaking like this. Let's see, to enforce. An unbroken rate fueled by the just they're very, very quiet in the mix, and when you get everything together, it sounds something like this. Endless woe, enchanting millennia to come, an unbroken rain fueled by the vein, and though they will tremble with their disdain. Yeah. So that's that, and then we have some more. Until the fire, the ever-flowing tide, I really love harmonizing. I shouldn't. I'm a singer, so I like bragging about this, but I should probably move on. Let's see. And though they will tremble with their disdain, runs in my veins and heart. I really had fun tracking this album and layering all the vocals and making all the harmonies. That was a really, really fun process for me. But I had fun with everything. Well, so here you have like the big climax of the song. Lots of things happening in the orchestra. This build up before it all breaks loose. Yeah. So there you have it. A quick rundown of our track, The Last. So here are my effects channels. 4 effects. Yeah. And my group channels. 20 of those actually. And then the rest is just the raw tracks. Arranged in. I usually try to keep things tidy in groups, and here there are some tracks that fell outside, just because they got added at later when the mixing process was quite far along actually. So, But you always have to have some last minute tweaks. You have to keep yourself on your toes. So I hope this was interesting for some of you, maybe. I hope some of you people found this to be of some value. If you would like to see more of these kinds of run-throughs, let us know in the comments. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check out all our content, please. And if you like what we do, you can buy CDs, vinyl, stream music, the works. You know how this works by now. Oh, my nose really itches. So, if there's questions or anything that you would like to see, don't hesitate to ask. This ended up really long, but I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe I'll shorten down some stuff. And do you want to see more how we've done the processing, or is the gargantuan track count enough to impress you? All right. Have a nice night. Erling out. Hello again. Chris just made me aware that I left out an important part of the song, which also happens to be one of my favorites. And I thought that would be a golden opportunity to look into not only that piece of music, but also, see, now we are taping, but also the part that is preceding it. So what I'm talking about is this right here, with it's another example of our use of layering and how several pieces of music merge to make one whole. So what we have here is an acoustic part that sounds something like this. All right, so what we have here is layering of acoustic or clean electric and acoustic guitars. Let's see first what we have here. A quiet lead line here. That the perceptive of you would recognize as the main vocal line from the chorus of the last song in this Our Cleopatra trilogy. So see here, no distortion guitars. But we have here the clean amp here, which is the Laney, I believe. Double tracked left and right. And then we have this beautiful 12 string. And then again, we now into this we have the solo, the guitar solo, which is the Laney GH50 British monster, and I believe we're using both the DI, a DI here, and that I have added some effects to. Yes, we're using the Waves GTR. It is surprisingly useful piece of gear, usable in the mix, I believe. So this is the Laney tone. It's the drive tone, and then we have added some spring reverb here as per Chris's preferences. And then this blend of two cabinets. Maybe this is supposed to be the angle and this is supposed to be an EVH 5150. I'm not quite sure. Some EQ here, just gently removing the stuff that you really can't hear in the mix, and a gentle, no, not so gentle, a generous amount of delay right here. So the main lead tone sounds like this. All right, and then we have it layered with the DI tone with the effects, which is only this guitar plug-in here, just to give some depth to the signal. Really gnarly, kind of cocked wah sounding. And when you combine these two tones together, let's see, this is how. Fuses together. And I believe the guitar that was used for the leads here is Chris's ESP Jeff Hanneman made in Japan signature model. That is just a fabulous guitar. It sounds amazing. So while we're here, let's see, there's a little bit of piano also, and that works beautifully with these guitars, I think. Let's see. Goes a little something. Decided beyond my inception. Almost not audible. Let's see. Oops. Let's see. It sounds like this. All you Norwegians out there, the Farris commercial. But wait, there is also a little bit of orchestra here. We have this. together sounds something like this. Yeah, I'll get to that because it will be natural to play the whole thing after I show you a little thing that I think is interesting that we like to do in Articulus, and that is making an alternate version of something that we've introduced earlier. You'll see us do this on the Bonfire of the Vanities, which I hopefully will maybe do one of these videos on also, if this is something you people want to see more of. So we've taken this riff right here, which you may recall as the opening stomp. And we've put the melody from the chorus that we've introduced for the first time, and that we're returning to at the end of the song, but we are presenting it like this. And now. And there you have it. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, we're impressed. So if this is something you want to see more of, if you found this interesting or inspiring, please leave a comment, tell us, and please tell your friends. And we'd like to do more of these. This was kind of fun. So thanks for watching, and keep supporting independent music. Have a nice night.